Two law firms sue Trump administration over executive orders, while another reaches a settlement. Danish minister declares Greenland status quo not an option after Vance visit. 60s teen heartthrob Bobby Sherman diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Ban coaches to reduce head-on-head tackles, experts suggest. Two law firms sue Trump administration over executive orders, another cuts a deal. Two law firms filed lawsuits Friday to block White House executive orders that targeted them for their ties to lawyers involved in an investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, while a third firm cut a deal to avoid being targeted by the Trump administration. Jenner and Block and WilmerHale filed separate lawsuits in a Washington, D.C. federal court, both alleging the administration engaged in unconstitutional retaliation that violates the First Amendment. Late Friday, U.S. District Judge John Bates granted Jenner's request for a temporary restraining order, blocking most of the executive action against it. Another judge, Richard Leon, subsequently granted a similar request from WilmerHale. During a hearing, Bates, who like Leon was appointed to the federal bench by former President George W. Bush, called the executive order disturbing and troubling, saying that on its face, it was retaliation against Jenner for its political viewpoints and its pro bono work on behalf of immigrants and transgender people. Our legal profession as a whole is watching and wondering whether their courtroom activities, in the best tradition of lawyering, will cause the federal government to turn its unwanted attention to them next, the judge said. Liam's ruling said of the WilmerHale order, "There is no doubt this retaliatory action chills speech and legal advocacy, or that it qualifies as a constitutional harm." Their lawsuits follow a raft of executive orders against several prominent law firms that stripped security clearances, limited access to federal buildings, and directed agencies to remove government contracts from firms and their clients. The temporary blocks put in place by the court Friday largely froze those measures against the two firms, but excluded the president's moves on security clearances. Meanwhile, in the Oval Office, President Trump announced he had reached an agreement with another top law firm, Skadden. Skadden will provide $100 million in pro bono work for causes approved by the administration, including helping veterans and fighting anti-Semitism, commit to merit-based hiring practices and eschew illegal DEI discrimination and preferences, and pledge not to deny its services to members of politically disenfranchised groups who have not historically received legal representation from major national law firms, among other items, according to Trump. This was essentially a settlement, Trump said. "We appreciate their coming to the table." Skadden executive partner Jeremy London said the firm had engaged proactively with the president and his team in working together constructively to reach this agreement. "We firmly believe that this outcome is in the best interests of our clients, our people, and our firm," he added. The actions Friday underscore the crisis Trump's orders have unleashed within the legal industry. Many of the big firms that challenged Trump policies in his first term have stayed silent, scrambling to avoid becoming the next target. Firms hit with the orders have had to decide whether to fight back against the administration's demands or take a deal to protect their business. Perkins Coie sued and won a temporary restraining order. An executive order against Paul Weiss was rescinded after the firm reached an agreement with the White House. Another firm, Covington & Burling, has largely kept a low profile after being hit with a more narrow order. So far, 5 big firms have been targeted, most recently WilmerHale, the former law firm of Robert Mueller, who led the Russia interference investigation. Mueller worked at Hale & Dorr from 1993 to 1995 before it merged to create WilmerHale. He later rejoined in 2014 as a partner before his appointment as special counsel in 2017, during Trump's first term, to investigate any possible ties between Russia and the president and his campaign. That investigation infuriated Trump, who called it a witch hunt. Mueller's investigation epitomizes the weaponization of government, the executive order said. A Mueller deputy, Andrew Weissman, is a former Jenner partner who led the group that investigated Paul Manafort, who served as chairman of Trump's presidential campaign in the summer of 2016. Trump's order against Jenner cited Weissman by name, as well as the firm's pro bono work backing lawsuits challenging the administration's policies, including on behalf of transgender individuals and asylum seekers. Democrats and their law firms weaponize the legal process to try to punish and jail their political opponents, said White House spokesman Harrison Fields. The president's executive orders are lawful directives to ensure that the president's agenda is implemented and that law firms comply with the law. Jenner's complaint said the order is an unconstitutional abuse of power against lawyers, their clients, and the legal system. It is intended to hamper the ability of individuals and businesses to have the lawyers of their choice zealously represent them. The firm said that over the past 5 years, more than 40% of the firm's revenue has come from clients that receive government contracts. One client told Jenner it couldn't bring its lawyer to a meeting at the Justice Department because of the order, the firm said. WilmerHale's lawsuit said the executive order makes no secret of its intent to punish the firm for the clients it has represented. It describes the order as unprecedented and unconstitutional. The firm had lobbied to avoid an executive order in recent days and hoped to leverage ties to the Trump administration. But Trump has long resented Mueller, administration officials said. Skadden has more than 1,700 lawyers and annual revenue of about $3.2 billion, making it one of the highest-grossing firms in the world. It is also a leader in the financial sector, representing large banks and major private equity firms. Skadden lawyers have been working pro bono on a defamation lawsuit against right-wing commentator Danish, who narrated a film that made baseless claims about the 2020 presidential election. Their client, a Georgia voter who was depicted in the movie, alleges the filmmakers falsely labeled him as a criminal who committed ballot fraud. In December, D'Souza issued an apology and said inaccurate information was provided to him and his team. He complained in a recent social media post that Skadden had an army of lawyers against him. Trump advisor and ally Elon Musk reposted it with the comment, "Skadden, this needs to stop now." Skadden previously represented Musk in his acquisition of Twitter in 2022. A few litigation powerhouses have signed on to represent the law firms challenging the orders. Law firm Cooley is representing Jenner, while Clement and Murphy's Paul Clement, a former Solicitor General under the second President Bush, agreed to take on WilmerHale's case. Williams & Connolly is representing Perkins Coie. Another firm, Quinn Emanuel, declined to take Perkins Coie's case, but helped broker Paul Weiss's deal with the White House. Denmark is ready to engage in discussions with the U.S. on how to address the status quo in Greenland, following remarks by Vice President J.D. Vance, who criticized Copenhagen for failing to adequately secure the Arctic territory during his visit on Friday. In a late-night post on X, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen told the U.S. the status quo in the Arctic is not an option and expressed Denmark's willingness to collaborate. "So let's talk about how we can fix it together," Rasmussen wrote. In a video message, Rasmussen acknowledged the numerous accusations concerning Greenland, stating, "Of course, we are open to criticism. But let me be completely honest. We do not appreciate the tone in which it's being delivered." He added, "This is not how you speak to your close allies," reaffirming Denmark's close relationship with the U.S. Rasmussen's statement came as both Danish and Greenlandic leaders have previously opposed Trump's desire to acquire Greenland. Despite disagreements, they have sought to ease tensions by proposing deeper military and economic cooperation on the island. "We respect that the U.S. needs a stronger military presence in Greenland," as Vice President Vance mentioned. "Denmark and Greenland are very much open to discussing this with you," Rasmussen said. He pointed out that the existing 1951 bilateral defense agreement allows ample opportunity for U.S. military presence in Greenland. "If that is what you wish, let us discuss it." Former President Donald Trump has long sought to gain control of Greenland. Rasmussen's invitation for dialogue followed Vance's visit, which included a speech to U.S. service members at the U.S. Patuxent Space Base on Greenland's northwestern coast. In his address, Vance said, "The president said we have to have Greenland, and I think we do have to be more serious about the security of Greenland." Vance emphasized the need for increased U.S. focus on the island, adding, "We can't just ignore this place." He echoed Trump's sentiment that Greenland would be more secure under U.S. protection. "Yes, the people of Greenland are going to have self-determination," Vance said. "We hope they choose to partner with the United States because we are the only nation on Earth that will respect their sovereignty and security. Their security is very much our security." Vance accused Denmark of failing to adequately secure Greenland against potential threats from Russia, China, and other nations. "Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland and the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass," he said. Rasmussen responded by acknowledging that both Denmark and the U.S. had neglected the Arctic since the Cold War, assuming the region would remain a low-tension zone. "But that time is over. Status quo is not an option," he stated. Trump has consistently expressed interest in acquiring Greenland. despite strong opposition from Greenlandic and Danish leaders, as well as criticism from across Europe. A poll from January, conducted by Varian for Danish newspaper Berlingske, revealed that only 6% of Greenlanders support becoming part of the US, with 9% undecided. Greenland, strategically located near Russia's northern coast, is of increasing interest due to its proximity to vital shipping routes, the Northeast and Northwest passages, and its wealth of untapped mineral resources. As the climate warms, these routes and resources are becoming more accessible, raising the stakes for international competition. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't, Trump said Friday. If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and Russian ships all over the place, and we're not going to be able to do that. He continued, we're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation, stressing that Greenland is vital not just for U.S. peace, but for global security. Greenland's very important for the peace of the world, not us, the peace of the entire world, Trump added. And I think Denmark understands it. I think the European Union understands it. And if they don't, we're going to have to explain it to them. Bobby Sherman, 60s teen heartthrob, diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Bobby Sherman, an actor and singer who rose to teen idol status in the 1960s, has been diagnosed with cancer. Sherman's wife, Brigitte Publin, announced the diagnosis in a post to Facebook Tuesday and thanked his cherished fans for remembering him. She did not specify the type of cancer. As many of you know, Bobby has been retired for some time and is no longer able to participate in cameos, sign autographs, or make appearances, wrote Publin, who with Sherman in 2011. It is with a heavy heart that we share Bobby has recently been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, she continued. During this challenging time, we kindly ask for your understanding and respect for our privacy. A rep for Sherman was not immediately available for comment. Sherman, 81, exemplified a classic California pop king. Hailing from Santa Monica, he charmed audiences with ballads like the gold record-winning Little Woman and Easy Come, Easy Go, and blended yacht rock with doo-wop sensibilities. More Monkees than Beach Boys, his sound was not the only source of success for Sherman. His heartthrob look and singing chops also landed him on several television shows. In 1968, he made his debut on Here Come the Brides, a Western comedy series. He was later cast as the house singer on the ABC variety show Shindig and appeared in several cameos on The Partridge Family and The Love Boat. For Sherman, teen stardom represented only a first act. In the 1990s, he left entertainment to become a paramedic and work with local law enforcement, teaching first aid to recruits at the Los Angeles Police Department Academy, according to a 1993 profile of him in the Los Angeles Times. He later became a technical reserve officer for the department. Thank you so much for still remembering him, Sherman's wife concluded in her statement. We really appreciate it. Ban coaches to help prevent head-on-head tackles. Rugby union should consider banning head coaches from matches if their players are repeatedly involved in head-on-head tackles, says former England women's boss Simon Middleton. In the Women's Six Nations opening round, France centre Gabrielle Vernier was sent off for a head-on-head hit in their win over Ireland, followed by Wales' Georgia Evans receiving a second yellow card for a similar tackle in their defeat by Scotland. In this year's Men's Six Nations, Ireland centre Gary Ringrose received a red card for a head-on-head tackle on Wales' Ben Thomas. Middleton, England's head coach from 2015 to 2023, suggests that 3 illegal head-on-head tackles in a game should result in a one-match touchline ban for that team's head coach. You want to make it impactful and resonant, Middleton told BBC Sport. If I am a defense coach, and I know the action of my player is going to impact the availability of the head coach, then I am probably going to be more diligent and aware of the consequences of what I am coaching. As a head coach, you are charged with overseeing your coaching group, so ultimately the buck stops with the head coach. I do think reducing head contact in rugby is moving in the right direction, but there has been a notable change in terms of the nature of incidents now being more head-on-head than shoulder-to-head. Middleton coached the Red Roses to the World Cup final in 2022, where his side lost to New Zealand after playing the majority of the game with 14 players, following a high head-on-head tackle by wing Lydia Thompson. The 59-year-old says more detail around tackle height from his coaching team could have prevented the red card. We paid a huge price for it in the World Cup, and rightly so, as that was the correct decision, and we have to live with that, he said. I look back on the build-up to the World Cup and think, what was our part in that? We clearly played a part. We have to be accountable, as it is never just about the players. It is about why the player has acted in that way. There are some things you can't control, but most of the actions are a product of what they are coached. After leaving England's coaching team in 2023, Middleton took up a role with Japan's women's team as their high-performance advisor. He says head coach Leslie McKenzie plays a safe and entertaining brand of rugby, which could be taught across the sport. Last year, more than 300 former football, rugby league, and rugby union players in the United Kingdom took legal action over brain injuries they claim to have sustained during their playing careers. McKenzie, who also sits on World Rugby's Women's High-Performance Rugby Committee, coaches a double tackle where one player chops the opponent's legs and the other targets the ball to prevent offloads. Leslie is obsessed with tackle technique, body management, and functional movement in the contact area, Middleton adds. Physically, there is a disparity with most sides, so Japan has to be technically outstanding with what they do. I can't remember, in the 2 years I've been with them, a red or yellow card for any high shots and penalties for head contacts. There have maybe been a handful. There is a huge investment and spotlight on that area. Middleton believes that a byproduct of coaches being more diligent with tackle technique is that the game becomes more entertaining to watch because of fewer stoppages to review high tackles. The argument that tackling lower will mean teams can break defenses more easily through offloading is also something he disagrees with. You can still tackle on the ball and safely. I don't subscribe to the argument that you can't risk tackling on the ball, he added. Most offloading games are not negated by teams tackling on the ball, but by tackling really low and aggressively. That takes time and space away and puts their decision-making under pressure. That is more impactful.